Welcome to Vitamin B with Mohana. This is where we help you take control of your well-being. My guest today is Vandana Subramanian, who's a therapist and counselor. And today we're going to talk about heartaches, breakups, which is becoming common, toxic relationships, and ultimately what each of our heart desires, which is healthy emotional relationships.
Sometimes it's not about the deserving thing, it's about what you want. And at times you don't know what you want. Because you've never really been in a relationship for a longer period of time.
So tell me about gaslighting.
You allowed me to cheat on you.
So gaslighting is about manipulating the other person's mind.
You did give me permission that I could go and talk to this person.
So essentially what we're saying is that there's a lot of experimentation that's happening in society. People want things very fast.
You'll be surprised, Mona, it's with every generation. It's not just the Gen Z or the millennials. There's a lot of that ex things that bothers, because these days the concept of being friends with your ex is there. This person doesn't understand me at all. That's the common thing that you hear.
Can I have a situationship with more than one person? So come join us as we explore this space. Sit back, enjoy, and relax. Hi Vandana, welcome to Vitamin B. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi Mohana, it's lovely to be here with you.
Yeah, great. I think first when we actually sort of stumbled upon you, it was on Instagram.
Okay.
Right? You are doing some fabulous stuff on Instagram through your organization called Psychoflakes, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And you all do therapy, counseling for a range of things, right? So that's wonderful. And that's how digital world connects you if you use it really well. So it's great to have you here.
Thank you, Mohana. I'm looking forward for this entire podcast series and let's get started.
Wonderful. I think we're going to sort of talk about such an important aspect of our lives today, and it's really touching everyone. It's troubling a lot of people, right? So we'll try our best to have a meaningful conversation that can really help people. So relationships, that's the key word for the entire hour that we really spend, right? So tell me, is it true that relationships between a man, woman, or all the spectrum that we talk about from LGBTQ++, the concept of relationships, is it breaking? Has it become fragile? Let's start with understanding from your experience. Are you seeing more of that? Is it breaking?
Must be very deep. And I think it's a mixed bag, is what I would say. Definitely, there's a lot of changes in relationships because of which it can seem like, the break is out there. But it's a mixed bag. So nowadays, relationships are very quick, fast. There's a lot of expectations. There is limited patience. And, everything is fast and quick. Right? So you want to be in a relationship with somebody. Okay, you went into a relationship. So in your mind, you're probably in your 5th year of relationship, but in reality, it's just been like 1 month or 2 months.
Okay.
So you have a lot of expectations from your partner, right? Oh, my partner should be understanding. My partner should take care of me. All of those things will happen eventually. I mean, you should get to know the person, understand their upbringing, understand them as a person, what do they like, what they don't like, and that's when that care will come, right? If, as soon as you begin a relationship, you have that expectation that this person should complete my words or should read my thought or take care of me.
Okay.
And all those things takes time. So I think that is what is missing. And since you feel, okay, in 1 month of my relationship, this person did not take care of me or this person didn't understand me, I don't want to be with this person. I don't think this person is meant for me. And then you break up with that person and go to another person with the same thing.
So tell me, is it because everyone's talking about it, right? And there's not a quarter that I don't hear about someone breaking up. Okay, either it's a divorce or it's something that someone just started and it didn't sort of work out, and it's very fast, like you said. So are you seeing a growing trend as a practitioner that people are breaking up faster?
Yes.
Okay. And let's sort of dissect it a little bit, okay? So what are the layers to today's relationship? And let's look at marriage to start with.
Okay.
Then you have a long-term relationship with a committed relationship.
Then you have situationships.
What is a situation?
So it's like you are not really tagging it as I am your girlfriend or you're my boyfriend. It's
Okay.
more like I'm hanging around with you. I like your company. I like your vibe. I probably want intimacy from you, physical intimacy. I'm there with you, but we're not really in a relationship. It's more like
Okay. Sure.
just like I'm there,
Okay.
but I'm not there.
All right. So can I have a situationship with more than one person?
Yeah.
And that's probably what the definition entails
Yes.
as well. Okay. And then I know of dating. Then there's situationship. Are there any other layers that relationships have emerged into?
I think there are a lot, some even I'm not that aware of, but these are few things which are out there. Then you
Yeah.
have friends with benefits.
Right.
Then you have I'm friendly with my ex,
Got
but
it.
I'm not their friend nor I'm their partner. So it's very confusing sometimes, a lot of things. So these are certain layers we can
So
start
do
off
you?
with.
Sure. I think it's very complex. I think it's become right before either you were with someone or you were not with someone. At least 15 years back, and today, then it was about dating, and then being in a committed relationship. Then it was marriage. But today, marriage seems to be like really an afterthought, right? There's so
Yeah.
much happening before that. But do you feel because of these layers, they are contributing to actually people breaking up faster also because of the range of complexity?
Yes, and I think now you have a lot of choices, right? I mean, you have so many dating apps, firstly, and you feel like, okay, if this person is not meant for me, it's okay. I'm going to find somebody else soon. What's the wait or what's the rush? So
Okay.
since you have so many choices, you don't feel like committing to somebody, or you don't feel like, okay, let us make it work or let's give it another try, because it's so
Right.
easy to access, right? Like you open Hinge or Bumble or Tinder or whatever you want. You have for convenience. There are so many. I think some dating apps are so interesting. So there's one dating app which I don't remember the name, but you get matched based on your sense of humor.
Okay.
The sense of humor is a very important
Part of everyone's life.
relationship.
Yeah,
So you
sure.
have that.
Yeah.
Like the kind of memes that you share, the kind of jokes that you like,
Huh.
you get matched based on that.
Okay. Interesting.
So you have
Wow.
you have such variety in dating apps also.
So there are a lot of
Dating
layers.
apps.
Is that contributing to people actually making a choice to break up, right?
Yeah.
So you were saying that a lot of people have a lot of choices.
Yeah, choices is one thing, and you feel like sometimes you feel like you deserve somebody better and you keep seeking that. Sometimes it's not about the deserving thing, it's about what you want, and at times you don't know what you want because you've never really been in a relationship for a longer period of time to understand, okay, this is what I want or this is what I don't want.
Sure.
So that can also be one other reason why you are constantly looking for new relationships and you're breaking up. Also, some people just want to try
Different
like,
partners.
yeah, like say I'm straight, but I want to explore and see what is it like to be with women. Like I want to be a bi and see for some time, and then I realize, okay, no, maybe no, I'm straight, or maybe I am bi. So those kind of confusions and explorations also takes place.
So essentially, what we're saying is that there's a lot of experimentation that's
Yes.
happening in society. People want things very fast.
Yeah.
That's also so maybe it's not so much for breakup, rather than it's also part of it is about trying different things as well. That's going on.
Yeah.
So like let's stay with relationships and the whole continuum of breakups, right? Who's experiencing it the most, from ranging from dating to breakup to marriages to divorces, right? In which generation is that happening most?
You'll be surprised, Mona, it's with every generation. It's not just the Gen Z or the millennials or the, our parents or things like the Gen X. It's for everybody. There is some sort of change or something, is stirring their mind to, okay, I don't want to be part of it. So there are people who are in their 60s and 70s are also divorcing. Like, no, I'm bored with this person. I want to just live life. I want to explore life. Or even teens these days, like, I feel I want to be with somebody else. Or even our generation, everybody is like, okay, I want to explore, I want to see more, I don't want to commit to one person, because that is something that is a fear is there in all of us, like that commitment fear, like, oh, I have to be with this one person for a long period of time. I don't know if I have it in me to do that. So no, let's go to somebody else. I don't want this much of expectation and pressure on me. So this is
Interesting.
there in all generations.
And is this largely, I'm just trying to draw correlations, right? Did you observe any trend on people coming from broken homes?
Yeah.
Who have this fear of committing more?
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the primary reasons, like broken homes are wherein, so for example, at a very young age, if they've seen their parents divorcing or their parents are never happy with each other, they're just there in the marriage for the sake of the
Yeah.
child. So they feel like all relationships are going to be the same. And say you have one, by mistake, one bad experience in a relationship, you feel like, okay, that's it. It is the truth. I don't think I'm made for relationships. I don't think commitment is something that I want to do. I don't mind having a partner, but I don't want to commit to that partner. What if it turns out like my parents, or what if I'm a bad person and I'm ruining somebody else's life? So
Sure.
even altruism also comes into
Okay.
picture, right? So like you want to be good to the other person,
Okay.
so you're like, okay, I don't want to get into a relationship
Interesting.
right now. So
Okay.
that is also there.
So, what's the
happening.
range of reasons that you've seen coming to you for a breakup?
Lots. I mean, it can be very trivial also. Like, you know, our connection doesn't match, our vibe doesn't match, or he's so boring after one point of time. I don't know what to speak to this person. Or it could be like, this person is shorter than me, or she's taller than me.
Or the guy saying that the girl is
Yeah,
taller.
or the girl also says that I don't want to date short guys.
Sure.
Right? Or I don't want to date a person who is a fan of another football club.
Okay.
Or it could be like political views, if it is very different. So suppose somebody believes in democracy, somebody else feels like Hitler's ideologies were nice.
You actually have cases like that.
Yeah, I mean, you've had,
Oh,
I mean,
God.
it's
Okay.
not just the cases I've read, but also when you speak to others, or
Yeah.
in your friend circle, or when you read articles, something very common, right? Like people end up fighting or breaking up because of this. Or, there is this X factor. I think even in shows like Splitsvilla, they had this season, the X concept, wherein the X comes
Okay.
in. So in Splitsvilla, the whole show is
Yeah.
about finding a partner.
Partner, yeah.
Why are they bringing the X over there?
Okay.
So like there's a lot of that X things that bothers, like, because these days the concept of being friends with your ex is there.
Common,
It's a good
yeah.
thing to have. But then, the current partner feels insecure or
Yeah.
jealous, or they're not trusting this person. So that is also another very popular reason for, breaking up. Or it could be just that, this person doesn't understand me at all. That's the common thing that you hear.
Okay.
But for understanding, like I said, in their mind, they're in the fifth year of the relationship, or
Yeah.
like probably they're together for a very, very long time, and this person is just exploring or understanding. So there's a mismatch between what you're expecting and what is in reality.
Sure.
So that is another very common reason for a breakup. Or it could even be like food preferences,
Okay.
or religion.
And what about marriages? Like, if people are getting a divorce, what have you observed to be the predominant reasons?
I think some of them are very good reasons, I would say. Not good, I mean, these are valid reasons.
Sure.
Like being probably disrespectful, or, like probably they don't discuss about whether they want a child or not. And then after they get married, they have this conversation and they realize that one partner wants a child and another doesn't. So they're like, okay, this is not going to work out. So they end up parting ways. Or they feel like even though they are in the same house, they feel like strangers. There's nothing in common after one point. So again, they break up. I mean, they divorce. Or it could be the in-laws and, the family
Sure.
dynamic could be one. So, or, just that they have had issues from a very long time and they're not able to resolve it anymore. They're not able to stand it. Infidelity. So there's
Infidelity,
a huge
a range of
spectrum.
what I know of is a lot of women stepping out as well, particularly, and men also,
Yeah, yeah.
because of physical abuse.
Physical
And
abuse,
this
yes.
is something that's been around, and today in the last decade people are working out for those reasons as well, right? Along with
Yeah,
infidelity, cheating the partner.
yeah,
So those are reasons which are existing in our society as well.
yeah,
Yeah. Very interesting. So I think what it just always baffles me that there's so many different types of layers today in relationships, right? But what is a healthy relationship or a functioning relationship versus a non-functional relationship?
So I would say this is a very subjective
Hmm.
question. So I'll try to answer it from both sides of it. So there's nothing called as a healthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship, if you ask me, to be
Hmm.
very honest, because we all fluctuate between this in our relationship with our partner. There are days we're very mean to our partner, and there are days we're very nice to our partner. So there
Okay.
is no such distinction that you can give as healthy and unhealthy, in my personal opinion. It's about how you can balance it and how you can find that happiness
Yeah.
and what you're looking for in a relationship. So I'm going to emphasize on that more, because if you ask anybody what kind of person would you want to date, it's very superficial answer. If you listen to anybody answering this, it could be about the physical appearances or something, like they should be intellectual or should have a good sense of humor,
Hmm.
should understand me. Now what is understand me? Like there's a lot of layers to
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right? So if a person, for example, is understanding of you but has a lot of anger issues, what would you term it as? Healthy relationship or unhealthy relationship?
Interesting. Yeah, sure.
Right? So
Yeah.
that is something that this person is going through.
Hmm.
And yes, it affects you, but the quality that you're seeking, which is understanding, this person is fulfilling.
Hmm.
So that's why there's a lot of confusion whether to stay in a relationship or get out of a relationship. So there's no such broad categorization as how we tend to put it as black and white. No, there's always a mixture, there's always layers to it.
Okay. Okay.
Right? So to understand what exactly you want in a relationship,
Hmm.
it could be like if you want understanding partner, so how you want them to be understanding. Let's go through all situations. When you're happy, how you want the person to be. When you're sad, how you want the person to be. When you're angry, how you want the person to be. When you're having a bad day, how you want the person to be. And is this person able to match it up? If they're not, are they putting an effort?
Hmm.
Are you putting an effort? Are you both communicative to
Yeah.
each other? To what extent are you going to tolerate certain things? So all these factors comes into play. So we don't actually articulate it, but this is something that all of us experience it when we are
But
with
I'm,
a
I'm
person.
struggling so much with this because it's so hard to predict every scenario, right?
Yeah.
And it's so important to be sort of fluid
Yes.
in your relationship rather than have so many expectations. It
Yeah.
could be just so difficult to be in a
Yeah.
relationship with those number of expectations.
Yeah.
I remember Laurie Goblet, who's an amazing psychotherapist,
Yeah.
right? And she talks about how when people start dating, they just talk about movies, they'll talk about music, they'll talk about all the superficial things that actually don't contribute to having a meaningful relationship at all. So I remember her because when you just mentioned that people are breaking up because they don't discuss having children before, they don't
Yeah.
discuss food habits. They are the things that actually matter when you live with another person, whether you're
Yes.
married or not, right?
Yeah.
So there is a need for people to actually go deeper when they meet, and if they wish to explore something
Exactly.
deeper and more meaningful, go beyond movies and go beyond just your music preferences as well, right?
But that's actually not what couples discuss. Like that's something probably is like you have all these shows or celebrities also talk about, right? Like what is my favorite movie, what is my favorite music genre of book. That is something that you actually learn when you're with the person. Like when you go on a long drive.
But it's not a qualifier or
Yeah.
a criteria that you tick
Yeah.
off, like you like
Yeah.
Justin Bieber or not.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
So when you go on a long drive,
Yeah.
of course you both are going to at one point of time play what you actually like. You would
Yeah.
stop pretending
Yeah.
to like the other person's music and you're going to do. So that's when you realize, oh, I like Bollywood music, or you like indie music, or
Sure.
you like English songs. So that is something that happens organically. So it's all about how much you are willing to put efforts to also understand this person and let yourself be understood by this person.
Yeah.
Because some things you yourself won't know understand until you're in a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is something I do constantly, or this is something my parents did, and I think even I'm replicating the same thing in my relationship.
Yeah.
So that's something you get to know when you're with another human being. Otherwise, for you, everything is normal and you feel like, okay, this is how things are.
Okay.
It's very different.
Okay, so let's build on that. Okay, so I'll do all of that. My partner's also doing all of that. When does it become toxic? Because doing everything always for the other person and sort of trading off who you are in the process also is another issue, right?
Yeah.
You want to make it work, it starts healthy, but then it becomes toxic. So, what is toxic? What is a toxic relationship?
So this, see, problem with toxic is people use it very commonly these days, but toxic is very, very different for different people. For some people, toxic could be disrespect. Okay. For some people, toxic could be abuse. For some, toxic could be, not having your own independence or your own space.
Yeah.
So it's very different for different people. But like you said, if you start off healthily, when do you know things are not working out between the two of you? Sometimes when you lose the sense of identity, like when you forget who you are. When I forget who Vandana is in a relationship, I'm doing everything for the other person, or somewhere you learn habits from each other, right? Like you build habits with your partner, and sometimes you feel like you've forgotten who you are. Oh, I'm doing everything for the other person, but if somebody asks me what I want, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it could also be when okay, so I'll give you a situation, you tell me whether it is toxic
Sure.
or not. Okay, so you're together with this person, you really like this person, and now this person says that I want to go to another country, like say UK, for my work. You're happy in India, you're happy with the person, but this person wants to go to UK, but you don't want to. This person goes away, you're having fights. So is it a toxic relationship? Is this person toxic?
No, they're not toxic, but you have a difference of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but for the person who went to UK, they felt that this person was toxic because they didn't come with them, or they didn't choose this relationship over the work or over the space.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I said it's a very, very different dynamic when you say toxic, because it varies from person to person and their situation.
Because today it's being used rampantly.
Yes.
So for me, intuitively, a toxic relationship is one where I don't have my space at all.
That's it.
Decisions, like you said, a great example that you gave is probably not toxic, but toxic is one really where there's abuse, where I'm being followed everywhere. I can't meet my friends at all. I can't spend my
Stalking.
own money. Yeah, stalking. Every information I have to share. So something where it's very,
That's
very,
for you,
very, yeah,
right?
Yeah, possible.
But for somebody else, it could be like, it again depends. It goes back to your upbringing, your what you have been used to.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So for like what you rightly said, even for me also, it's somewhat similar, wherein I want to have my space, my independence, financially, work wise, decision wise, and say for my partner, for example, hypothetically, this person is grown up in a family wherein very traditional, like very conservative. So for him, probably this could be the way life is led.
Right.
But for you, that is not. So obviously for you, that's toxic. So you don't like this person. You don't understand that maybe this person doesn't even know that this side of the world exists.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I say toxic is a word that's very commonly used. But if you look deeper into it,
it's very personal.
It's very personal. It's very subjective. It depends on your experiences. But if you want to broadly put up something up, like disrespect or abuse, or like controlling, manipulating,
codependency.
No, codependency, I would disagree a little bit, because when you're in a relationship, you do depend on each other, right? I mean, that's sometimes the whole point of being with somebody.
With someone, yeah.
You become habituated with them, and that's there. But becoming too dependent and you can't function separately is when it becomes an issue, maybe to somebody else, but to them it might not be an issue.
Okay.
So it's very subjective, I would say.
Okay, that's so complicated.
Yeah, it's very complicated.
Yeah.
So there is no, I would say, it depends on the person, the toxicity aspect of it.
So tell me about gaslighting. Would that be, first of all, let's define it. What is gaslighting? And I would think it's toxic, right? It borders into being manipulative. So gaslighting is about manipulating the other person's mind.
Kind of. Like, say you do something. Like, for example, all of us are in this digital age, right? I mean, we do forget things very quickly, or our attention span is reduced. So sometimes people can use it against you. like, oh no, you said it, oh no, it was you did said it. So then you're also like,
Maybe I
say
did,
it?
right?
Maybe I
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
So now if it's something very trivial and small, it's fine. But say if it's something very big, it could be like, you allowed me to cheat on you.
Yeah.
You did give me permission that I could go and talk to this person and hang out. I'm like, no, I didn't. But no, you did. So that's a big thing, right? Like infidelity was also, brought
Brought
in,
in.
and it's made to look like as if you gave me approval of it. So
Yeah.
that is when you know, okay, this is getting way
Yeah.
beyond a point.
And it's very interesting because gaslighting as a phenomena is not something we knew.
Yeah.
And most people have experienced it.
Yeah.
With a narcissistic partner,
Yeah.
you typically have gaslighting happening all the time.
Yeah.
So you're actually, what I understood at least was, you're made to imagine a certain sense of truth when it
Yeah.
doesn't exist, right? You never
Exactly.
meant it. No, you're made to feel you meant it.
Yeah.
Then you start agreeing to it, and that's when it becomes toxic.
And the other person becomes so dominating that they make you believe, or they kind of put memories that doesn't exist. And memories is a thing, like wherein it is, you can create it whenever you want, or you can dissolve it, you can change it. It's never constant.
Yeah.
It depends on your emotion, it depends on the other person and how
Yeah.
you're feeling at that moment.
Yeah.
So every time you think of any memory, it is always altered. It
Yeah.
depends on the current situation.
Yeah.
So that is something people take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. I still remember that a friend of mine, her boyfriend would tell her that you're behaving like this because you had issues with your father.
Oh.
So your childhood trauma is why you're behaving like this.
Yeah.
So the person starts, first of all, has great guilt of the trauma,
Yeah.
and has shared it in a vulnerable, trusting way with her
Yes.
partner who's using it against her.
Yeah.
And making her feel like what she's doing today is because of that.
Correct.
So there's so many layers to it, right? So that's why it's so important to understand what's happening to you, even in a relationship. It could just be bad as well.
Yeah. So self-awareness is the key for any healthy relationship,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Like to understand yourself, to understand what are you okay with, what you're not okay with, what you're able to tolerate. See, some things that you're not okay with can little shift depending upon the situation, depending upon
Yeah.
the person,
Yeah.
and how much you're ready to do it. Right? Sometimes you might not, like people, a lot of them before they date somebody or they meet somebody, they might say that I'm completely against a person who drinks alcohol or smokes. Example. They meet somebody and they really like this person, they hit it off, they make them feel comfortable, and probably this person does social drinking.
Yeah.
So now you're like, okay, chalega,
You adjust.
it's okay, you
Yeah.
adjust. So that is there. So it depends, like how
Sure.
much awareness you have within you is very important in the
Yeah.
kind of people you attract.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to talk about fights, okay? So you have a fight, you'll move forward. What if the fight persists? How do you resolve it? What are the techniques to resolve a fight?
So I would tell the most cliche thing, but I'll add something to it. So the reason, I mean, when you fight, it's because you're coming from two different spaces. You've had different backgrounds. You have different opinion of things. So that's the reason you have a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
So one is you try to communicate the obvious thing, not immediately, maybe later on when both of you are in a different space, just talk about it. And sometimes add intent. Intent is something people forget to add.
Okay.
So for example, I generally get pissed off if my partner or anybody for that matter doesn't come on time or start things on time. Why this has happened is because in my family we do everything on time,
Yeah.
and if at all you don't do something on time, you're guilt tripped for it.
Sure.
So for me, that's a very important factor. I honestly didn't know about this until and unless I was in a relationship.
Dating, okay.
Yeah. So then my partner is somebody who's very relaxed, chilled out, doesn't care about all these things. So he'll just say sorry. I'm like, sorry? Just sorry?
How many times?
Yeah,
right?
how many times am I going to do this? So then we had a conversation about it, and for him, it's like, see, I am okay. If you put me a lot of pressure, I'll forget everything. And sometimes a lot of things might be happening around me at that point of time. Maybe,
Yeah.
I'm meeting you, but at that moment in my life, there are 3-4 things that happen suddenly. I don't even know why are they happening, but it just happens, and because of which I'm late. It's not that I want to make you wait. It just so happens. So then now if he's late, next time I ask him, was something happening? If he says no, he's going to get a blasting. But if he says something is happening, I understand. So that's how you communicate with each other and have an intent. Like, I'm like I'm a person who gets angry if you don't come on time because of this.
Yeah.
If you don't add that because, they're just going to think, okay, this person is just getting angry for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's again something you tell in a fight.
Yeah.
So it's good to have intent and communication to solve it. And sometimes some fights last. Even if you're together for like 10 years or something, it's going to be the same fight that you're fighting, but probably the intensity would be different.
Interesting. And there's another thing where you share your feeling, right? You made me feel like this.
Yeah.
And that
I language. Instead of blaming, that's another thing. Like sometimes you tend to blame the other person, right? Like when you're fighting, you're very protective. See, anger, people often misunderstand, but anger is an emotion that is protecting you.
Yeah.
Right? And you're hiding some other feeling behind your anger. So anger is a secondary emotion. Behind anger, it could be sadness, frustration, whatever. So every fight, you're going to look out for yourself. You're not going to look out for the other person, right? So you're going to tend to blame the other person.
It's a defense mechanism, right? Yeah.
So you're going to say, you made me wait, or you did this thing to me and I'm now upset. So you tend to put the whole blame on the other person. So instead you can say, I felt very bad that you made me wait, and can you tell me what happened? So this is an easier way.
So the feeling, you share the feeling that you
Otherwise it's more like, see, somebody blames you, you're going to obviously be defensive. You're not going to care about what this person has said. You're just going to be like, okay, so you've thrown something at me, now I have to throw something back. So that's how it keeps going on. And then it snowballs, and then one finally it's like a big issue. And that's how you end, when you, like divorce cases, when you listen to their reasons, it could be trivial to you, but to them it's a big thing. They've been dealing with this for 10 years. So even if you try to say, okay, why don't you try this, why don't you try that, they're going to be like, now what is the point? It's done. So it's good to be aware about certain things initially. Even like how you have love language, you have fight language also.
Okay.
So there are people who, like they want some space. And they go away, they stonewall, they don't want you to come near them. So you need to understand, okay, this is how the person is. Some people immediately want to resolve. Talk to me right now. I want to know what exactly happened. Right? So that's their mechanism of dealing with the fight. Some of them just ignore you and go away for 10 days, and then they come back and then they're fine and they're ready to talk about it. So everybody's fight language is very, very different.
Interesting.
Like how we have love language, you have fight language.
So how do we not hold grudges, Vandana?
Grudges. So what is grudge, according to you?
Just holding on to the fact that someone hurt you and constantly bringing it up, trying to raise your hurt in a different context.
I look at it, it's a little synonymous to revenge to some extent, right? Like it always starts with, how could this person do something to me? Right? It's more in that lines. So, sometimes grudges can be, you might find it funny, but grudges can be motivational as well, and at the same time very destructive as well. So what we generally work is trying to reduce the intensity of the grudge that you hold. Say, for example, you're dating somebody, you love this person a lot, and they fall out of love from you and they fall in love with somebody else. So you hold a grudge against this person, right? Like, how can this person leave me? How can this person like the other person? So you're constantly thinking about that, and you don't like this person. You keep talking about it to the other person, and end of the day, what are you benefiting? Nothing. Right? This person has moved on. You have also ended that relationship. You're not looking at the other people around you. So you're holding on to that. So it takes time. It's going to take time. You're hurt. So you need to address that hurt. That's when the grudge gets reduced. And sometimes grudge leads to revenge. So, oh, this guy cheated on me. I'm going to make his life miserable.
Or I'll cheat on this person.
No, you tend to sometimes make that person's life miserable. He cheated on me, right? So I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to go say this girl what all you did to me. I'm going to break this relationship of yours.
Got it.
So you feel a sense of satisfaction when you do that. Like, you did this to me. How could you do this to me? So I'm capable or entitled to do these things because you did this. So you reduce it first by addressing that hurt, addressing that, yes, you went through something like this in your life.
Accepting it, basically.
Accepting it and giving it some time, giving it some space. You're going to repeat about it. You're going to feel very bad about it. But then after a point, you tend to ask yourself, is it benefiting me? Is this going to take me anywhere? No. Say if it's going to take you somewhere, great. If it is not, then what is the point?
Yeah.
So that's what we work in.
Oh, is
reduction.
grudge a good point where someone can access therapy as an option?
Can. I mean, see, I'll say something. See, grudge can be again motivational. I told you, right? It is motivational. Say somebody cheated on you. I'm going to be like, okay, fine, you cheated on me. Great. Now I'm going to prove you that I'm one of the best persons. You lost a gem. I end up probably working a lot. And I end up doing great in my work. I do well. I grow. So it helped.
Yeah.
But it depends. Say, even after you grow, you're holding on to this person, you're not dating anybody, or you're being completely horrible to whoever you date, then that is a problem. So that is something that we need to address.
Interesting.
So it depends how you're taking it and how much it is affecting you, because it's nothing to do with other person. It is self-infliction of pain.
Self-infliction of pain. Fair enough, I think, yeah. But I think if you have a mild grudge and you can work on it with your partner to overcome it, it's always better.
Yeah.
Right. So earlier you mentioned that people are breaking up also because of friends, family, and there's a lot of interference, particularly I think in an Indian setup also we involve our friends, we involve our families into our relationships, right? Which can lead it to also be destroyed.
Yeah.
So what is going on there? How do we sort of draw healthy boundaries, even if it's our own parents' involvement in our relationships? Be it particularly in marriage, right? That's when they, at least in our context, they tend to step in a lot more.
So I think over here, when it comes to boundaries, it depends on what kind of boundaries that you want to draw, right? Like, say, boundary between you and your partner. That's one boundary. Then your parents and like your set of parents and the couple is one. His set of parents and the couple is one. So there are a lot of boundaries. So end of the day, it's between you and your partner. You decide that. You communicate that. To what extent you want things, because it's not just what you want. There's another person also involved to draw this boundary.
Yeah.
So both of you need to be in the same wavelength. If you're not, that's when there's a problem. So say if the guy is like okay with having his parents have a say in something, or even if a girl is okay with her parents having a say in something, but your other person doesn't want it, there's a clash.
Yeah.
And then there's parents involved, so there's emotional attachment over there. So you're like, how can you say this? My parents being there, what's your problem? Why are you doing this? Again, you say you're toxic that time. You're doing this. It depends. So you need to talk to your partner about, communicate together and take a decision to draw boundaries. So if you want, say, both your parents to not be involved in decisions like your housing or your career or your children, you take a stand together and communicate that to both sets or to whoever involved in the family. Or, okay, this much is, or, you're okay with this, but you're not going to take it too seriously.
Yeah.
So all this is something that you talk with your partner and then you set it together, because you can't do it alone.
Yeah. And so what are healthy emotional practices within a relationship, right? What are good things to do? One, you're talking about communication. Even that, how do you communicate effectively, right? So what are healthy practices to get closer, to get a strong relationship in place?
Again, a cliche answer, I would say, but like when you are coming home, say you're living together, instead of watching Netflix shows or just scrolling through Instagram, sharing reels to each other to say that, hey, this is what I wanted to communicate to you. Look at this husband doing this, and what are you doing? So instead, just talk to that person, like sit like this, like how we are talking. So I'm looking at your eye, you're looking at my eye. We're talking, and I'm feeling that connect, or we are vibing, right?
Yeah.
So same thing do with your partner instead of doing it in a text. So
are most couples not doing it these days?
Yeah, so you don't talk. After a point, you end up feeling like strangers.
Yeah.
Like you don't talk to this person, you're only talking to this person in text. So when they're actually sitting next to you, you don't know what to speak to this person. Right? So one thing is, like maybe keep it as a practice. Like after you come home from your work, for half an hour, don't look at your phones. Just do whatever it is. Like maybe cook together, exercise together, play some games together. Something that doesn't involve gadgets, and just the two of you as a as a unit, you do something together. I mean, of course, watch films and everything, send reels, everything is good, but make it a point that at least half an hour you do something
every
together.
day.
Yeah, every day.
So, how do you take care of yourself even in a healthy relationship? Like a sense of self needs to remain, like you said, right?
Yeah.
So that it persists. So, how do we do that actively?
I think lifestyle plays a big role. Like lifestyle, in the sense, if you have to go deeper down, the food that you take, the sleep that you get, um, doing something that you love. It could be a hobby or anything that connects you to who you are. So for me, for example, gymming is something that I really love to do. I have to have it in my routine. Or for example, traveling. So every once in a while, I have to go and travel to rejuvenate myself. So these are certain things that I actively do. Or meditation is something that I do it in the morning. So these are some habits which I have that I do, irrespective of being in a relationship or being single, whatever. So these are certain things that you can do for yourself. And these days some of them even go to therapy, because that they feel is one healthy way to handle themselves and to be in a relationship.
Interesting.
So it depends, like what you like to do. If you do it, it helps, because they are also like mobile phones, right? We need recharge, or we need the battery levels,
Right.
so you might have your work, relationship, everything requires efforts. So how do you recharge yourself is to do something that you like to do,
Yeah.
or something that you feel good about.
Yeah.
That's how you recharge your batteries to deal with everything else.
Yeah.
That's
So if
important.
you're feeling really good, then others can relate to you in the same way, or you can give back to that relationship in the same way, right?
And gratitude, I think that is one more. These are two things that I believe in. Like even we do this as an activity
Yeah.
for couples. So when you're fighting too much, so one thing you can do is you can have a jar wherein you can write in a sheet of paper something that your partner did for you and you felt really happy or grateful for, and put it over there. So you keep filling it, and some days when your fights become a little too much, like when I said you're too mean to each other, that's when you open the jar and see, oh, okay. You remind yourself, like, okay,
It's actually quite good. It's not too bad. It can be dealt with as
yeah,
well.
you can deal with it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you feel like, okay, all these things I got, but maybe I don't want it.
Yeah.
So that can also be there. It can go both ways. But being grateful is something that actually grounds you. Maybe not every day, but at least once in a while, look back and be thankful for the things that has happened.
Yeah.
So that takes you a long way.
So when should couples take therapy?
So nowadays, people take therapy like premarital therapy, and when they are married, also they take, or when they're dating, also they take, because they feel like it's a good way to, um, be healthy in a relationship.
Okay.
And also sometimes they come to therapy when it's too late,
Yeah.
or it's a mandatory thing, quote, you have to come.
Okay.
So that is also there. So it varies, but I would say that first you do individual therapy, like try to understand yourself. So you're more empathetic, more understanding of another person in your life. And then if you feel that you're still not able to kind of set a balance, and you really want to work in this relationship, then it's a good way to start.
So what happens in a couples therapy?
So couples therapy, sometimes when you fight, you don't literally listen to the other person because you're being defensive. So in a therapy session, what happens is you have a person who is neutral, who's not biased, who doesn't know both your stories, who doesn't know anything about each other, and they are here to give you that neutral standpoint, to show you that perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So that is something that happens, and also you get to learn, like, for example, when I talked about fight languages or love languages, a lot of couples don't realize some things like this exists.
Yeah.
So they come to therapy session, they understand, and they're like, oh yeah, my partner does this. Oh yeah, this is what I do. So now that you're aware, you work better.
Interesting.
Right. So now I know my partner is somebody who wants space, or I'm a person who wants to solve it immediately. So we need to find a mid ground if we have to make it work. So probably we keep an hour, like we take an hour wherein we both do our things, and then we get to talk. Or sometimes it doesn't happen. One of them makes a compromise, knowing that this person wants to solve it right now. Otherwise, it's going to become a big thing in this person's head, and later on it will be much more difficult to deal with it. So let's talk it out.
Sure.
So you find a midway, or you talk it out, but the other person who wants time says that I'm not going to say anything to you right now, or whatever I say right now is not going to be used against me. I need some time, so give me some time.
Wow.
So that happens.
Okay.
So awareness is So in therapy, it's only awareness. Once you're
Sure.
aware, you know how to deal with it.
Very nice. So on that note, in this ever evolving, ever complex, space of relationships, as a counselor and therapist, what is your advice to people?
My advice, I think being patient is one thing that I have learned in any relationship, not just with a partner. I think with anybody, to be patient is one. Empathetic is one more thing, very, very important. And I think be curious, like why is this person behaving in a certain manner?
Yeah.
It actually helps because
Yeah.
I'm a very curious person. So for me, any behavior or anything, I'm always, you know, looking
Wondering.
forward
Yeah.
to why it has happened, so that I get to know the whole story. Sometimes in a relationship, to be curious helps. Sometimes it doesn't help. It depends where you want to draw
Yeah.
a line. And like I said, self-awareness is very, very important in any relationship.
And
That
have
helps.
patience, right? That you
Yeah.
said mostly. So, on the note of patience, thank you so much, Vandana, for joining us today. I loved it. I loved the conversation. And as always, it's been a great learning as well. I had no idea about situationships, many other things I knew. So, thanks for sharing that as well. And wonderful to have you here.
Same here, Mohan. I think I loved your questions. You put in a lot of thought and effort. So I think I had a lot of fun answering them.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful.